Welcome to EVTN News, everyone. Today, I have some news stories, but I also like to point out that I ignore some news stories. I know that the news media, they have an incentive to make everything seem like breaking news, but in reality, it's not. I mean, especially under Pope Francis, there's not a lot of surprises, really. I will I have a book review that I will be probably releasing. It might be a while because I have several, but I'm reading George Neumeier's book called The Political Pope, and you may be a little bit surprised, not really, but I don't really know how to explain it that well. Just wait for the book review. You may be surprised to know that Pope Francis was promoting some of these crazy ideas that he's promoting now. He was promoting them way back in the day before a lot of people were willing to admit it. So, moving along, um, Il Messaggero, Italy, reported that on Sunday, January 14th, clergy in the Vatican were trained in how to offer blessings to LMNOP couples. Priests are to keep blessings under 15 seconds and speak in a low voice and make the sign of the cross on their foreheads. So, this is heresy. I mean, do you want to? Should I say that? It's pretty cringe at the at the very least, but um, they're trained on how to offer spontaneous blessings, right? Okay, so is it really spontaneous? And for everyone justifying what the justifying the document or trying to pope-splain it, if it was not about offering blessings to LMNOP couples as a couple, then it wasn't even necessary. There's not even an argument about that. Okay, big news is Latin Mass priest has been suspended. Priests with an S, plural. Parishioners at Our Lady of Lourdes in Park Hill, Kentucky, were recently informed by Father Shannon Collins that he and Father Sean Kopczynski, who served as parochial vicar, were stripped of their faculties by their ordinary Bishop John Eifert. Collins and Kopczynski belonged to the Missionaries of St. John the Baptist, a public association of the faithful that was erected by Eifert's predecessor, Roger Foys, in the Covington Diocese in 2019. This group is currently training several young men for the priesthood. And the Covington Diocese, it's actually directly south of Cincinnati, just over the border of Cincinnati, Ohio. Our Lady of Lourdes was established as a quasi-parish reserved for the exclusive celebration of the traditional Latin Mass in 2016. In 2017, Foys conducted a dedication ceremony of the property. In 2018, he elevated it to the status of a personal parish, writing in a public statement that its members have distinguished themselves by their piety, generosity, and love for the Lord and his church. Seems like a decent guy. This previous bishop seems like a decent guy, really. So I believe Bishop Eifert is in his 50s, so he'll be around for a while causing terror. But he wrote a letter to the parishioners and said, I write to inform you I have requested the resignation of Father Shannon, parochial vicar. For some time now, I had serious concerns about the parish's pastoral leadership. I attempted to resolve those concerns in conversation and fraternal correction with these priests, who are brothers and sons to me. Regretfully, I have been unable to do so. He's been unable to resolve his concerns. He's part of the Francis Church and not the Catholic Church. I take the action after becoming aware that Father Collins had preached in the parish that the holy sacrifice of the Mass as celebrated in the current Roman Catholic liturgy is irrelevant, preserves literally nothing of the old, and that the reform of the liturgy was motivated by hatred towards traditional Catholics and the ancient liturgies of Rome. Both Father Collins and Father Kopczynski maintain these errors and refuse the opportunity to renounce them. He said this disqualifies them from being granted permission to publicly celebrate the sacraments using the 1962 Missale Romanum and from leading a personal parish like Our Lady of Lourdes. So this bishop he completely took the quotes out, listens to the sermon. I don't have it in the comments, but if you want, it might be on the LifeSite News link. I'm not sure. I have a few links there to LifeSite News. You can find the sermon in question. It's on Rumble. And the quotes are taken out of context for sure. And this bishop takes the quotes out of context and then asks the priest to apologize for them, for the fact that he took them out of context. Clown. I mean, this is, and I say that with all due respect to the bishop. You need to resign. Really. I mean, you're not promoting the Catholic faith by banning the Latin, by banning these priests, these Latin Mass priests. Now, okay, at least he did this. So on January 19th, the diocese released a new statement announcing that starting this Sunday, January 21st, Our Lady of Lourdes Parish will be permitted to share the St. Anne Missions Church building for traditional Latin Mass services, and that Eifert will join parishioners for dialogue on the situation the following Sunday. So they say, oh, well, at least he moved the Latin Mass. Well, his hand was kind of forced. So if I were a parishioner of this former parish, which, by the way, let's see here. I didn't read the rest of the letter. So he said, I intend to provide for the pastoral and liturgical care of Our Lady of Lourdes Parish and hope to continue this ministry in the Diocese of Covington. There are, however, obstacles. The board of the Missionaries of St. John the Baptist own the current church building. The Missionaries of St. John the Baptist consider it a chapel of their public association. Well, I mean, let's see here. The previous bishop, appointed a personal parish, so this Bishop Eifert's clearly, again, misleading information. Is he being deceptive? Is he intentionally being deceptive? This is really, really low. Anyway, the Missionaries of St. John the Baptist consider it the Chapel of Public Association. They are no longer willing to permit the diocese or Our Lady of Lourdes Parish to use the building, so they won't allow the Novus Order to be said in their church building. Okay, good. I'm seeking an appropriate location for parish liturgies. Please be aware that I have removed Father Collins and Father Kopczynski's faculties to teach, preach, or celebrate the sacraments of the Church for the time being. They are to conduct no public ministry. They may celebrate a private Mass for themselves, immediate family members, and members of the Missionaries of St. John the Baptist. They are not permitted to celebrate the Mass publicly. Please do not ask them to violate this restriction. And actually, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe someone posted that canon law says that you can request for the sacraments from them even if they are suspended. I don't know. I don't really know. But let's get to the heart of the matter here. The only reason he's providing the only reason he's still, I mean, he may be trying to undermine these guys who did nothing wrong. The bishop may be trying to undermine these priests who, for all intents and purposes, seem like decent guys. But this is near Walton, Kentucky. Do any of you know what that means? It is a SSPX priory. there's an SSPX priory located there, which means there's several priests that live there, and they have daily mass. They offer daily mass, and so if you don't provide the mass, these parishioners will just drive a few minutes down the road to Walton and have mass, go attend mass, and it's interesting that this bishop, references the holy sacrifice of the mass in regards to the Novus Ordo, because you never hear that from anyone. And has the bishop ever said that in anything other than this letter? I don't know. You don't know, but that's an interesting question for him. But if I were a parishioner here, which I'm not, I would go to this dialogue with the bishop and tell him in no uncertain terms that he was deceptive and he was extremely misleading in his letter. He misinterpreted it. He completely misinterpreted the sermon, whether intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know. And I'm going to the SSPX, and I'm never donating $1 to the diocese until he is gone. So you can say that in front of everyone and just make a statement and let them know where you stand. That'd be interesting. Record it on a camera and post it on YouTube. See ya. This is why these are reasons why the SSPX is necessary. Getting back to the reason why he removed it, he said the Novus Ordo. So the bishop claims that the priest said that the Novus Ordo was irrelevant, and to people who attend the Latin Mass, yes, it kind of is. But basically, he was implying that don't even worry about the Novus Ordo because it's irrelevant to you guys because you have the Latin Mass. I mean, but I guess if you're looking at it in the way that the bishop presents it, yeah, I mean, it still is irrelevant because it's, it's a Novus Ordo. It preserves literally nothing of the old. Prove that wrong. The burden of proof is on the bishop to prove that wrong. And that the reform of the liturgy was motivated by hatred towards traditional Catholics and the ancient liturgies of Rome. Well, look at Pope Francis, first off. I know he didn't reform anything, but you can see some very clear hatred towards traditional Catholics. But as the reform of the liturgy was motivated by hatred, yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened, right? It hadn't happened for over 1,000 years. And here's one thing. Okay, so I've seen this online, and I'm not sure how to explain this. So if you completely don't get it, I apologize. But there are some people who say the Novus Ordo should be banned. And then some people, if anyone's response is, this is why Traditionis Custodes was, the group of people wants to Traditionis Custodes haven't. Okay, so then it's like, so I say the Novus Ordo should be banned. You say the Latin Mass should be banned. Okay, so then let's take a look at it objectively because we're basically sort of on the same page. We want one of the we want one of them banned. We both want one of them banned. And then if you take a look at it objectively, the Latin Mass is objectively better than the Novus Ordo. And so I was talking with a few people yesterday, and we said, wouldn't it be interesting if the Novus Ordo was only permitted by indult, sort of like John Paul II did with the Latin Mass. Well, you can have a Latin Mass, but you need a permission from your bishop to say it, and you have to have meet all these criteria. So, like the Novus Ordo, if the Latin Mass was established of course, amongst all the Roman Catholic bishops, if the Novus Ordo or if the Latin Mass were declared the primary Mass, which it will be at some point. Might be a while, but if the Latin Mass were declared the primary Mass and the Novus Ordo were given an indult, you'd have to say, well, you can't have communion in the hand, and the Novus Ordo should actually be the vernacular version of Latin Mass, because there are just too many actions in the Latin Mass that were obliterated in the Novus Ordo, not to mention all of the the different readings and the different prayers that were removed. The propers were completely changed. So, okay, so that's all. That's what I have with that. What are your thoughts? Oh, I hate to even ask that. Okay, so well, what a surprise! Moving on to the next story, LMNOP blessings make dialogue difficult with the Orthodox. So Cardinal Kurt Koch made this understatement to the Vatican News. He said, "I am receiving some negative reactions from the ecumenical world about fiducia supplicans." Oriental Orthodox Christians have announced that they will challenge the cardinal over the blasphemous blessings, which were invented by Francis. In response, Cardinal Koch plans to reinvent the wheel and discuss the question, what is a blessing, and the relationship, or so-called relationship, between doctrine and pastoral care. So, what a surprise, by completely disregarding scripture and tradition, you're hurting your effort at ecumenical dialogue, which was such a priority in the Francis Church. But some of the bishops like it. Some of the priests like it. Some of the bishops like the blessing. What does that say about them? Okay, so I told you this. Was it last week or the week before? I'm not sure, but I called it. Cardinal Freeland Mbongo, president of Freeland Mbongo Basungu, president of the Episcopal Conferences for Africa and Madagascar, has revealed striking details of how he worked with Pope Francis and Cardinal Fernandez to compose his document, stating that African bishops would not offer blessings for LMNOP couples. So I talked about this story last week, but he said that he reached an agreement with Francis about the African. He details his story here. He reached an agreement with Francis about the African rejection of fiducia supplicans, saying that the solution to this problem is no longer to send us documents with theological and philosophical definitions of blessings. People are not interested in that. And he told Francis and added that he continued by saying, what matters now is a communication that reassures the people of Africa, calms the minds of the faithful. So it's not about it's not about backing down on heresy. It's reassuring them. Remember, the document that Basungu issued, and people were too dumb to understand it. What it says. So obviously it wouldn't be accepted, but they're also too dumb to understand it. Consequently, on January 10th, Mbongo sat down with Fernandez and a secretary to draft the letter, which was subsequently published on January 11th. According to Mbongo, the process was conducted in such close collaboration with Francis that they regularly called the Pope as they wrote the letter to obtain his approval of the wording. So Francis was even heavily involved in this African document that people were celebrating. He's involved in this rejection, so-called rejection, but really, in reality, it says about the cultural impact and not the doctrinal impact. And I think that's really important to understand, is that this isn't, this is not something to celebrate. Again, we need outright rejections, not something that Francis helped draft. Okay, speaking of heresy, an Anglican evensong, which is Vespers, will be held in St. Peter's Basilica on January 23rd. An Anglican parson based in Rome will preside. 2 days later, Justin Welby, a layman who holds the title of Archbishop of Canterbury, will preside in an invalid Anglican Eucharist at St. Bartolomeo's on 25th of January. Both events are part of the annual Week for Christian Unity, which seeks to unite all denominations with watered-down beliefs. Okay, so heretic will celebrate fake liturgy in the Catholic Church. And this actually, I think it was happening in Portland, Oregon. Archbishop Sample banned it just recently. posted an article about people that were whining about it. There is another split Anglican, uh, well, so-called Catholic parish that has a split congregation with the Anglicans, and that is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I actually posted a video a while ago, and I think I may post another video. I'm pretty sure that was in my, I think the video was titled like Crazy Novus Ordos. I didn't really seem to catch on like some of my other commentary videos did, and some of those comments on the videos are kind of entertaining because they talk about how I'm not inclusive or whatever. Like, oh well, people are this discourages people from converting to the Catholic. Your comments discourage people from converting to the Catholic faith, and I was like, what about this absurd liturgy that's not even licit? Like, you can't. That's a misrepresentation of the Catholic faith. Like, I have to speak against it. Like, I can't just say, oh, nothing to see here. Sort of like the Pope splainers. Oh, nothing to see here. This is just a regular blessing, and no, it's not. It's not because they wouldn't have issued the document if it were. Okay. Thanks for joining me, David. Um, altar statues in the back. Well, I yes, I am a bit of a collector. They're not altar statues necessarily, although unless you consider thinking about a home altar, I'd like to build one myself. And I'd like to feature home altars at some point. I haven't really, I've seen photos on Twitter. That's the best place to take a look for home altars. And I think there were threads where people were posting their home altars, and it was really nice. Even just very simple and um, really not extremely expensive to construct them, but they had great creativity. And I am building my home altar. Well, I'd be interested in taking a look. If you give me a follow on Twitter, go ahead and post it. If you're on Twitter, post a photo once you're done. I'd be I'd be more than happy to see it. What was a really cool thread as well on Twitter was someone said like post a picture of your favorite rosary, and so there were like all these rosary pictures, and they were really neat. Um, that's one of the few things on Twitter that's really neat. That's one of the few. Um, otherwise, Twitter's just a real mess of people excommunicating each other, and I don't use Twitter. Yeah, you're better off. I can't say the same, but I do limit my Twitter usage, and in Lent it'll probably be even more limiting. I don't do an outright. I don't give it up for Lent because I run this channel, and I'd probably miss out on a good bit of news if I did. In fact, let's see some of these stories. Well, one of the links is from Twitter, and I've seen several of these stories broken on Twitter, so it's a bad place. It's a rotten place, but really, yeah. I mean, you can use it. You can use it responsibly, I guess, if that's even. It's like alcohol, right? Drink responsibly, but like use Twitter responsibly, because you can get caught up in arguments and even just looking at other people's arguments, and it's just not a good place. It really isn't. Um. Okay. Yeah. Wow, I got a lot of live streamers today. Well, I hope at some point I'd like to do a live stream, but it's just I got so many books that I have that I'm really interested in reading, and it's like, what do I do? Keep reading my book or um, do a live stream? I also wanted to do a live stream about Church Militant. I've never gotten to that. That news broke like I feel like that was like 2 months ago. It was probably just a month ago. I think it was like close to Christmas, and I wanted to I wanted to um, do a live stream over Christmas, but I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't motivated. Maybe I just kind of lost track of time. I did do good bit of reading at that point, but I would like to express my full opinion on that. And a spoiler, it's similar to Kennedy Hall's. And I'd like to do a very short video. I don't want to tip anything off, so maybe I'll live stream it during one of the sporting events, like an NFL game or something. Maybe I'll do that. Get no viewers. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Would it be an alternative? Maybe I'll do a live stream during the Super Bowl. How many of you would watch it? How many of you would watch a live stream then during the Super Bowl? That's funny. Yeah, I just and again, getting back to my point at the beginning where I said about how, like, the news stories I pick, I don't pick all of them. Rosary and halftime Super Bowl. Actually, actually at halftime of the Super Bowl, I'm like going to bed. I'm so sorry to say, like, it's my bedtime. I could do it at the. You know what? I could do a live stream when the Super Bowl's supposed to start, when the Super Bowl is scheduled to start. Talk for half an hour, and then you could watch my video, and when I'm done, turn to the Super Bowl, and then the game will actually start. Right? Because it's started at like 6:30. All right, but then you need like the national anthem from like a big time celebrity, and you have to see like all the, I don't know, everything. You could watch like the 10-hour pregame show. Wake up early to watch the pregame show. Um, I don't know. I haven't watched a full Super Bowl in years. Just too late. Um, used to be a big sports fan too. Still kind of follow sports a lot, talk about sports, but really, I don't watch. I mean, here's the thing: YouTube ruins sports, and here's why. It's because they post their highlight videos. There's nothing like watching live sports. I get it, but would you watch? Would you spend 3.5 hours just sitting on your couch watching a game? I mean, I can't even sit still for like 5 minutes. That's why I shift around constantly. Can you imagine me, like, I'm sitting here for half an hour? Can you imagine me trying to sit for 3.5 hours? And so, but you're watching 3 minutes of commercials like every change of possession in football. I'm talking about American football, because if you're talking about the European football, or what Americans call soccer, there's no commercial breaks except for halftime, which is really nice, actually. That's actually much easier to watch that way. I watch baseball, but not pro football. And baseball too. There's a lot of commercial breaks. So you just get up, get yourself a glass of water or something. Soccer is boring. When you want to talk about boring, my favorite sport to watch is golf, and um, I like curling, like like the ice sport. That's actually pretty exciting. I like it. I like the strategy behind it. Try it sometime. Try watching it. It's intense. It actually is like a 2 to 3 hour match. So I watch like the YouTube highlights and skip through stuff. But um, anyway, that YouTube ruins sports, because you can watch like a football game. If you could spend 3.5 hours watching a football game, or you could spend 15 minutes watching the highlights on YouTube. And if it was a blowout, then you don't even have to watch the highlights. You didn't miss anything. Right? So like if your favorite team loses, you didn't waste 3.5 hours watching it, and you don't have to watch anything. You can look at the box score and say, "Oh wow, okay, I don't want to bother watching it." So there you go. I just ruined sports for you. Congratulations. Now you can watch more John the Son of Thunder and read more Catholic books. And that's it. So this has been EVTN News. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent. Oh wait. My favorite sport. Hold on. Thanks for joining us. Our Lady of La Salette, pray for us. My favorite sport is watching Francis of the Pachamamas. Oh, what about. All right, I'm not done yet. What about aquatic sports? Don't get throwing the Pachamamas in the river. All right, haha. That was a good. I don't know. Do you think that was a good one? Let me know. All right, I'm out. Have a great day. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.